before you scroll, before you decide this is not for you, please give me just a moment, because there is a reason this message reached you now. And if you leave too early, you may miss what Allah is trying to show you. Many people watch reminders like this casually, but this one is different. This one only makes sense at the end. Right now you may feel something is changing in your life, but you cannot explain it. Your heart feels unsettled, yet not afraid. You feel detached from things you once held tightly. You feel tired of fighting, tired of chasing, tired of forcing, and you may be thinking, what is happening to me? Listen carefully. Most people think destiny changes with events, but Allah changes destiny without noise. He starts with feelings, with discomfort, with silence, with the slow shifting of the heart. And here is the part most people misunderstand, and this is why many people panic and ruin the process. If you don't understand why Allah makes you feel this way, you will fight the change. You will cling to what He is trying to remove, and you will delay your own relief. So please, stay with me until the end. Not because of me, but because by the end, you will recognize yourself in a way you never have before. And once you see it, you will understand why Allah had to change your heart before He changed your life. Now, let us begin. Allah changes your heart before He changes your life. My dear brother, my dear sister, when Allah is preparing to change your destiny, He does not rush. Allah never rushes a soul. He does not shock your life all at once. He does not turn everything upside down in a single moment. He does not overwhelm you with sudden loss or sudden change. Allah is far more gentle than that. He begins with something very quiet, something only you can feel, something the world around you does not notice. He begins with your heart. You may not even realize it at first. There is no loud sign, no dramatic event, no clear reason. But slowly, something inside you starts to shift. The things that once occupied your mind day and night do not feel as heavy anymore. You still think about them, you still remember them, but they no longer sit deep inside your chest the way they used to. You may sit alone one day and notice, I used to care so much about this. Why does it feel different now? And that question itself can be unsettling, because human beings are not used to change without explanation. We like reasons, we like clarity. We like to understand why something is happening. But Allah does not always explain first. Sometimes He prepares first. You begin to notice that people who once had a strong emotional hold on you no longer control your mood the same way. Their words do not shake you like before. Their absence does not frighten you like before. Their presence does not excite you like before. And you wonder, have I become distant? Have I become cold? Why don't I feel the same? My dear brother, this is not coldness. Coldness hardens the heart. What you are feeling is softness. This is Allah gently removing chains from your heart that you did not even know were there. Because attachment can become a burden when it is tied to the wrong place. And Allah does not want His servant walking into a new chapter, still carrying the weight of an old one. So He loosens your grip, not suddenly, not painfully, but gradually. You start caring less about things that once defined you. You stop chasing certain validations. You stop begging for certain outcomes, and you are not forcing this change. That is the most important part. You are not convincing yourself. You are not trying to move on. You are not repeating words to make yourself feel better. It is simply happening. That is how you know it is from Allah. Because when change comes from Allah, it does not exhaust the heart. It frees it. You still respect the past. You still honor what once mattered, but you are no longer controlled by it. And that is a gift. Many people think destiny changes only when doors open, but often destiny begins to change when attachments loosen. Because sometimes the door cannot open until your hands are free. Allah knows exactly what your heart can handle. He knows what would break you and what would heal you. So before He removes something from your life, He removes its power over your heart. Before He closes a chapter, it gives you acceptance. Before He creates distance, He creates peace. That is mercy. You see, if Allah were to remove certain people, certain dreams, certain plans, while your heart was still tightly attached, the pain would be unbearable. So Allah prepares you slowly. He changes how you feel about things. before He changes the things themselves. You wake up one day and realize you are no longer afraid of losing what once terrified you. That is not strength you built alone. That is Allah strengthening you quietly. Your heart starts depending less on people and more on Allah. You stop expecting fulfillment from creation and begin finding calm in remembrance. And this shift does not make noise. It happens in silence. Sometimes at night, when no one is watching. Sometimes in moments of stillness, when you are alone with your thoughts. Sometimes after a long period of confusion, where nothing made sense. And slowly, very slowly, you realize that you are not fighting the change anymore. You are accepting it. That acceptance is not surrender to loss. It is surrender to Allah. And surrender is not weakness. It is trust. You may still feel emotional. You may still feel memories rise. But the pain is no longer sharp. It is softer now because Allah has wrapped it in wisdom. This is how Allah protects His servant. He does not just change your situation. He prepares your heart to survive the change. He does not just move you forward. He heals you while moving you. So if you feel your heart becoming lighter, if you feel less attached without trying, if you feel peace replacing fear, then do not panic. Do not question yourself harshly. This is not something wrong. This is something sacred. This is Allah quietly telling you, my servant, I am about to take you somewhere new and He wants you ready. My dear brother, my dear sister, there is something very important you must understand at this stage. When Allah begins to change your heart, it can feel unfamiliar, and humans fear unfamiliar feelings. You may look at yourself and think, I don't recognize myself anymore. But this is not loss of identity. This is release. You are not becoming empty. You are becoming lighter. What Allah removes from your heart was never meant to stay there forever. Some attachments were lessons. Some loves were bridges. Some dreams were stepping stones. They were not destinations. And Allah, in His mercy, does not allow His servant to remain stuck on a bridge when the destination is ahead. So He gently guides you forward. You may notice that you no longer have the energy to force things to work. You stop forcing conversations. You stop forcing relationships. You stop forcing plans. Not because you gave up on life, but because you trust Allah more than before. You realize that what is meant for you does not need chasing that drains your soul. This realization itself is a form of guidance, because when the heart is ready, Allah removes the struggle from obedience and removes the desperation from desire. You begin to understand something very deep. What is written for you cannot miss you, and what is not written for you cannot be held by force. This understanding brings peace. A peace that does not depend on circumstances. A peace that exists even when answers are missing. You may still feel moments of sadness. You may still feel moments of nostalgia. That is human. Allah did not create you without emotion. But notice the difference now. The sadness does not destroy you. The memories do not paralyze you. The past no longer traps you. It passes through you, not over you. That is healing. And healing does not always feel like happiness. Sometimes healing feels like quiet acceptance. Sometimes healing feels like, I'm okay even if things don't return. That sentence alone is proof that Allah has strengthened your heart. You see, Allah does not just change your destiny. He changes how you carry destiny. Before, you may have relied on people to feel safe. Now, you rely on Allah. Before, you may have feared endings. Now, you trust them. Before, you may have begged for answers. Now, you wait calmly. This is growth that cannot be taught by words. It can only be taught by Allah. And often, this change happens before you even realize you are ready. That is why Allah starts with the heart. Because once the heart is prepared, the external change cannot break you. When something eventually leaves your life, you do not collapse. When something eventually changes, you do not lose yourself. Because Allah already did the hardest work inside you. He made your heart strong enough to accept His plan. And here is something very beautiful. When Allah removes attachment from your heart, He creates space. And Allah never leaves space empty. He fills it with trust. He fills it with clarity. He fills it with nearness to Him. Sometimes He fills it with something better. Sometimes He fills it with peace alone. And peace alone is already a gift greater than many blessings. You may not see the next chapter yet. You may not know what is coming, but your heart knows one thing clearly now. You are not afraid anymore. That fear that once controlled your decisions has softened. That desperation that once ruled your thoughts has loosened. And this is why destiny changes quietly, because loud changes frighten the heart. But qui est préparation strengthens it. So if you are in this phase right now, do not rush yourself. Do not pressure yourself to move on faster. Do not force emotions you are not ready for. Allah's timing is perfect. Every softening of your heart is intentional. Every loosening of attachment is protective. Every calm you feel in uncertainty is guidance. And one day, when you look back, you will understand why Allah changed your heart before He changed your life. You will understand why certain things faded before others appeared. You will understand why peace arrived before answers did. Until that day, rest your heart. Allah is closer to you than you think. And He is walking you into your next chapter with care, patience, and love. The restlessness you feel is not anxiety, it is growth. My dear brother, my dear sister, there is a feeling many people experience but very few understand. It is not fear. It is not panic. It is not sadness. Yet it unsettles the heart. You wake up and feel uncomfortable even though nothing around you has changed. Your life looks the same on the outside, but inside something feels off. You cannot explain it properly. You cannot point to one clear reason, but you know deep inside that you are no longer at ease where you are. This feeling confuses many people. They think something is wrong with them. They think they are ungrateful. They think they are losing motivation. They think they are becoming negative. But my dear brother, my dear sister, this feeling is not always a problem. Sometimes it is a sign of growth. There is a restlessness that comes from fear, and there is a restlessness that comes from outgrowing your surroundings. These two feel very different, but people often mix them up. Fear makes the heart tight. Growth makes the heart stretch. Fear drains you. Growth feels uncomfortable, but it does not destroy you. This restlessness you feel is not screaming. It is whispering. It is not pushing you into panic. It is nudging you toward change. You may notice that things which once felt normal now feel heavy. You do the same routine, but it no longer satisfies you. You sit with the same people, but the conversations feel empty. You return to the same places, but they no longer feel like home. And you ask yourself quietly, why don't I feel settled anymore? Nothing went wrong. You grew. Allah does not allow a soul to remain comfortable in a place that can no longer contain it. Comfort can become a cage when the soul is ready to expand. So Allah introduces discomfort, not to punish you, not to confuse you, but to move you. This restlessness is often Allah's way of saying, my servant, you do not belong here anymore. And this message does not come loudly. If it came loudly, you would resist it. You would argue with it. You would fear it. So Allah makes it gentle. You simply feel uneasy. You begin to question things you never questioned before. You begin to see cracks in places you once trusted completely. You begin to feel distant from things that once defined you. This is not loss. This is awareness. And awareness is the beginning of change. Many people try to silence this feeling. They distract themselves. They force comfort. They blame exhaustion. They scroll, consume, and stay busy. But the feeling returns because it is not coming from the mind alone. It is coming from the soul. And the soul does not lie. The soul knows when it has outgrown a season. Just like a child eventually outgrows their clothes, the soul outgrows certain environments, roles, and attachments. If the child stays in clothes that no longer fit, they feel restricted. If the soul stays in a place it has outgrown, it feels restless. That restlessness is not disobedience. It is preparation. Allah prepares His servants before He moves them. And preparation does not always feel peaceful. Sometimes it feels uncomfortable. You may feel like you are standing between two worlds. The old no longer satisfies you. The new has not yet appeared. This space feels strange. You do not feel settled anywhere. And this is where many people become afraid. They say, I feel lost. But my dear brother, my dear sister, being between chapters does not mean you are lost. It means the page is turning. Allah does not turn page quickly. He lets you feel the shift. He lets you release slowly. He lets you detach gently. Because sudden movement can scare the heart. So He allows this phase of restlessness. You may notice that you are no longer excited by the same goals. The same dreams no longer pull you forward with the same strength. This does not mean you fail. It means Allah is realigning your direction. Sometimes Allah closes doors not by locking them, but by making you uncomfortable standing in front of them. You stay there, but your heart does not settle. And eventually you move. Not because you were forced, but because you were ready. This restlessness is not meant to be fought. It is meant to be understood. Because when you understand it, it stops feeling scary. You realize that Allah is not taking something away from you without purpose. He is guiding you away from stagnation. He is protecting you from staying too long in a place that no longer grows you. Growth always feels uncomfortable before it feels right. Seeds break before they rise, and the breaking feels like restlessness. You may also notice that silence feels heavier now. You cannot distract yourself as easily as before. When you are alone, your thoughts speak louder. This is not overthinking. This is reflection. Allah sometimes removes noise so the soul can speak. And when the soul speaks, it tells the truth. It tells you when it is time to move on. Not with words, but with feelings. And Allah communicates with feelings more often than people realize. This restlessness is a form of guidance. It is not pushing you to run. It is inviting you to grow. My dear brother, my dear sister, there is something very important you must remember during this phase. When restlessness comes from growth, it does not demand quick decisions. It does not shout, leave now. It does not push you into reckless action. It simply makes staying uncomfortable. And this is Allah's mercy. Because if Allah pushed you suddenly, you might fall. But if Allah gently unsettles you, you learn to walk on your own. You may notice that your heart now becomes tired of pretending, tired of smiling where you do not feel peace, tired of agreeing where your soul disagrees, tired of adjusting where you are shrinking yourself. This tiredness is not laziness. It is honesty. Your soul is becoming honest with you. Before, you could tolerate things that drained you. Now, even a little drain feels heavy. Before, you could ignore discomfort. Now, it follows you quietly until you pay attention. This is not weakness. This is awareness growing. Allah is teaching you to listen to your inner state. Because when a person learns to listen to their soul, they stop making choices that destroy them slowly. Many people stay in places that hurt them only because they are familiar. Allah does not want familiarity to trap you. So He removes comfort, not all at once. Just enough to wake you up. You may ask Allah, why don't I feel settled anymore? And Allah's answer is gentle. Because this place is no longer meant to hold you. That answer does not come in words. It comes in feelings. You may feel disconnected from people you once felt close to. Not because they changed, but because you changed. And growth always changes the way we relate to the world. This can feel lonely. You may feel like no one understands you anymore, like you do not fully belong anywhere. But this loneliness is not abandonment, it is space. Space for you to meet yourself again. Space for you to reconnect with Allah without distraction. Space for clarity to form. Allah often creates distance before He gives direction. If everything around you remained loud and familiar, you would never hear the call to grow. So Allah quiets things, not to isolate you forever, but to prepare you properly. During this phase, you may feel torn. Part of you wants the safety of the old. Another part of you knows you cannot go back. This inner tension is painful, but it is also powerful because it means your soul is moving forward. Even when your mind is hesitant, Allah allows this tension so you do not rush backward out of fear. Instead, you pause. And in that pause, you learn trust. You learn that you do not need to see the full picture to take the next step. You learn that discomfort does not always mean danger. Sometimes it means destiny is rearranging. And Allah does not rearrange without wisdom. You may also notice that your tolerance for noise is decreasing. Not just noise around you, but noise inside you. Drama feels exhausting. Arguments feel pointless. Constant talking feels draining. This is another sign. Your soul is craving depth, not distraction. Allah is guiding you towards substance, toward meaning, toward a life that feeds your heart, not just your habits. And because of this, you may feel out of place in environments that once felt normal. That is okay. Not every place is meant to hold every version of you. Some places were meant for who you were, not who you are becoming. And Allah loves you too much to keep you where you would shrink. You may fear change during this phase. You may worry about making mistakes. You may worry about losing people. You may worry about stepping into the unknown. But notice something beautiful. Even in your restlessness, there is a strange calm. You are not panicking. You are unsettled, but not hopeless. This calm is not from certainty. It is from trust. Allah places trust in the heart before He shows the outcome. So if you feel restless but not destroyed, uneasy but not lost, then understand this clearly. Allah is guiding you gently. You are not late. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are transitioning. And transitions are always uncomfortable. They require patience. They require faith. They require surrender. But they also lead to growth you could not achieve by staying comfortable. So do not rush this phase. Do not force clarity. Do not pressure yourself for answers. Allah will open the next door when your heart is ready to walk through it. Until then, allow yourself to feel. Allow the restlessness to teach you. Allow the discomfort to shape you. Because one day, very soon, you will look back and realize this uneasy feeling was not a problem. It was a message, and it was guiding you exactly where you needed to go. Allah quietly removes desires that would have delayed you. My dear brother, my dear sister, there comes a time in a believer's life when Allah begins to change something very subtle yet very powerful. It is not your situation. It is not your environment. It is not even your struggles. It is what your heart wants. One day you notice that the things you once prayed for again and again no longer pull you the same way. You still remember those prayers. You still respect the effort you once made. But the fire inside you for those desires has softened. And this can be confusing. You may sit quietly and think, why don't I want this anymore? Why does this no longer excite me? Why does my heart feel distant from what I once begged Allah for? And this confusion can be painful because we often believe that strong desire means strong faith and losing desire means losing direction. But this is not always true. Sometimes losing desire is actually Allah protecting you. You see, my dear brother, my dear sister, not everything we desire is bad, but not everything we desire is meant to stay with us forever. Some desires are temporary, some are lessons. Some are steps that lead us somewhere else. And Allah in His wisdom knows exactly when a desire will help you grow and when that same desire will begin to delay you. So when Allah is preparing to elevate you, He gently begins to remove cravings that would slow your journey. He does not always remove the object itself. He removes the attachment first. You wake up one day and realize that you no longer feel desperate. You no longer feel restless chasing the same thing. You no longer feel empty if it is missing. And you did not force this change. That is the key. You did not wake up and decide, I will stop wanting this. It simply faded. This is not coincidence. This is Allah's hand working quietly inside your heart because Allah is kind. If He removed something suddenly while your heart was still clinging to it, the pain would be sharp and heavy. So instead, He loosens the grip first. He softens the longing. He calms the craving. By the time something leaves, your heart is already stronger. This is mercy. You may also notice that sins which once felt easy now feel uncomfortable. Things you once ignored now trouble your conscience. Behaviors you once justified now feel heavy on your soul. This is not guilt meant to punish you. This is awareness meant to protect you. Allah increases your sensitivity before He increases your responsibility. Because a heart that feels deeply is a heart that can be trusted. You may notice that worldly goals which once consumed your thoughts now feel smaller. You still work, you still try, but you are no longer consumed. Your happiness no longer depends entirely on outcomes. And this shift is not laziness, it is balance. Allah is teaching your heart not to worship results. You are learning to work without being enslaved by desire. That is freedom. Some people never reach this stage. They spend their entire lives chasing things that never satisfy them. But Allah chooses certain servants and gently pulls them away from endless chasing. Not because those servants are weak, but because Allah wants to protect their hearts from exhaustion. When desire fades, space is created. And Allah never creates space without a reason. He fills that space with clarity, with calm, with trust. Sometimes He fills it with something better. Sometimes He fills it with peace alone. And peace alone is a blessing many people chase but never find. You may fear this change at first. You may think, if I stop wanting this, who will I become? What if I lose motivation? What if I lose direction? But what you are actually losing is desperation. And desperation is not direction. Allah does not want you driven by hunger that never ends. He wants you guided by purpose that does not drain you. This is why Allah sometimes removes desire before He removes opportunity. Because a heart that is no longer desperate can make wiser choices. A heart that is no longer chasing can see clearly. And clarity is necessary before elevation. You may also notice that when certain desires fade, you feel lighter, less anxious, less pressured, less afraid of missing out. This is not emptiness. This is relief. Your soul is breathing again. Allah is teaching you that fulfillment does not come from holding tightly to everything you want. It comes from trusting what Allah chooses to keep for you. And trusting Allah always brings peace. So if you feel that certain desires are leaving your heart, do not panic. Do not think something is wrong with you. Do not force yourself to want what Allah is gently removing. Because when Allah removes a desire, it is often because it would have delayed you, distracted you, or wounded you later. Allah sees the future you cannot see, and He loves you too much to let you chase something that would have cost you your peace. My dear brother, my dear sister, when Allah begins to remove certain desires from your heart, it can feel like something inside you is going quiet, and silence can feel uncomfortable to the human soul. We are used to noise. We are used to wanting. We are used to chasing something, anything, just to feel alive. So when that strong wanting softens, you may feel strange. You may feel like a fire has gone out. But listen carefully. Not every fire is meant to burn forever. Some fires warm you for a season. If they keep burning, they start to burn you. Allah knows this. That is why He removes certain desires before they turn into harm. You see, desire can be beautiful when it leads you closer to Allah. But desire can become dangerous when it begins to control you, exhaust you, or define your worth. Allah does not want your heart chained to anything fragile. So He loosens the chain, slowly, gently, without hurting you. You may notice that you no longer feel jealous the way you used to. You no longer compare your life constantly to others. You no longer feel that rush when someone else gets what you once wanted. This is not numbness. This is healing. Comparison comes from desire that feels threatened. When desire fades, comparison loses its power. Allah is freeing your heart from a prison many people never escape. You may also notice that your du'as begin to change. You no longer repeat the same request again and again with desperation. Instead, your du'as become softer, calmer, more trusting. You start saying things like, Ya Allah, if this is good for me, keep it. And if it is not, remove it from my heart. This is a very high level of faith, because only a heart that trusts Allah deeply can make such a dua sincerely. And Allah does not bring a heart to this level unless He is preparing it for something better. You may wonder, why now, Allah? Why am I losing interest now? Because timing matters. A desire that once pushed you forward may now be holding you back. Allah sees when a desire has completed its purpose in your life. Maybe it taught you patience. Maybe it taught you effort. Maybe it taught you what you truly value. Once the lesson is complete, Allah gently closes that chapter. And when Allah closes a chapter, He does not want you standing there crying over pages that were never meant to be reread. So He helps you let go. Sometimes the letting go happens before you even realize it is happening. One day you wake up and feel less urgency, less pressure, less hunger, and you wonder why. This is Allah giving your soul rest. Because constant wanting is tiring. Constant chasing is exhausting. And Allah does not want your life to be one long race where you are always behind something that never satisfies you. He wants you steady, grounded, peaceful. That is why when desire fades, peace slowly grows. You may also notice that you become more content with simple things, moments of quiet, time alone, a sincere prayer, a calm heart. These things did not excite you before. Now they nourish you. This is a sign of spiritual maturity. Allah is training your heart to find fulfillment where it truly exists. Not in constant achievement, not in approval, not in possession, but in connection. And connection with Allah does not demand chasing, it demands presence. When Allah removes certain desires, He is not leaving you empty. He is making room. Room for clarity, room for purpose, room for a direction that does not drain you. Sometimes He replaces an old desire with a higher one. Sometimes He replaces it with peace alone. And peace alone is not small. Peace is rare. Peace is precious. Peace is a gift. Many people have everything except. You may still work toward goals. You may still dream. But now your dreams do not control your emotions. Your goals do not define your worth. Your outcomes do not decide your happiness. This balance is powerful because now success cannot make you arrogant and failure cannot destroy you. That stability is not accidental. It is Allah's preparation. A heart that is not ruled by desire can be trusted with more. That is why Allah removes desire before He gives responsibility. That is why Allah softens cravings before He elevates position. Because elevation without detachment is dangerous. You may look around and see people who have everything they ever wanted, yet they are anxious, restless and empty. That is because desire led them, not wisdom. Allah does not want that for you. So He intervenes early. He changes what you want. And when Allah changes what you want, He changes where you are going. So if you feel a desire leaving your heart, do not grab it tightly out of fear. Do not force yourself to feel what Allah is gently removing. Trust this process. Trust that Allah knows what He is doing. He sees the future version of you that you cannot yet imagine. And He is shaping your heart to fit that future with ease, not struggle. One day, you will look back and realize that what you stopped wanting was exactly what would have delayed you. And you will thank Allah not only for what He gave you, but for what He saved you from. Until then, let your heart rest. Allah is guiding you gently, and guidance that comes with peace is always from Him. Your heart becomes softer, not weaker. My dear brother, my dear sister, there comes a time in life when you notice something changing inside you and it feels confusing at first. You begin to feel things more deeply than you used to. Small words affect you. Small moments touch your heart. Silence feels louder. Pain reaches you faster. And you begin to wonder quietly, why am I becoming so sensitive? Why does everything feel deeper now? Why can't I brush things off the way I used to? You may even fear this change. You may think sensitivity means weakness. You may think softness means you are breaking. You may think feeling deeply means you are losing strength. But my dear brother, my dear sister, this is not weakness. This is refinement. Allah does not harden the hearts. He intends to elevate. He softens them. A hard heart cannot carry wisdom. A hard heart cannot hold patience. A hard heart cannot feel mercy. So before Allah raises a servant, He refines their inner world. You see, many people confuse strength with hardness. They think being strong means not feeling, not caring, not being moved. But this is not the strength Allah loves. The strength Allah gives is calm strength, gentle strength, patient strength. It is the strength to feel pain without becoming bitter. It is the strength to be kind without being weak. It is the strength to stay soft in a hard world. When Allah begins to soften your heart, He is not taking something away from you. He is giving you something rare. He is giving you awareness. You begin to feel when something is wrong before it destroys you. You begin to sense when a situation is draining you before it empties you. You begin to recognize pain early instead of ignoring it until it becomes damage. This sensitivity is protection. Before, you may have tolerated things that hurt you. You may have laughed through pain. You may have ignored warning signs in people and situations. Now, your heart no longer allows that. Not because you are fragile, but because you are becoming honest. Allah is teaching your heart to speak to you clearly. You may notice that your reactions have changed. Things that once passed unnoticed now stay with you. Words spoken carelessly affect you more deeply. Injustice troubles your soul more than before. This is not emotional weakness. This is moral strength. Allah softens the hearts of those He wants to trust with responsibility, because a person who feels deeply is careful with others. A person who feels deeply does not harm easily. And Allah loves servants who do not harm. You may also notice that you feel more emotional during prayer. Your eyes fill more easily. Your heart feels closer to Allah. Simple words in dua now move you more than long speeches ever did. This is a beautiful sign. Allah draws hearts closer to Him by softening them, not by hardening them. Tears are not a sign of broken faith. They are often a sign of living faith. When your heart softens, your connection with Allah deepens. You begin to speak to Him more honestly. You begin to admit weakness instead of hiding it. You begin to ask for help instead of pretending strength. And Allah loves this sincerity. You may feel overwhelmed at times by how much you feel. You may wish you could return to being unaffected. But listen carefully. Being unaffected is not peace. It is numbness. Allah does not want numb servants. He wants alive hearts. A heart that feels pain can also feel joy. A heart that feels loss can also feel gratitude. A heart that feels fear can also feel trust. Softness allows the full range of human experience, and Allah created you to experience life, not to shut down from it. Sometimes Allah softens your heart after a long period of hardness caused by survival. You were strong because you had to be. You endured because there was no choice. You learned to ignore pain because stopping would have broken you. But now Allah is saying gently, you don't need to survive like that anymore. So He allows your heart to feel again. This can feel scary because feeling means vulnerability. But vulnerability with Allah is not danger, it is safety. Allah does not expose your softness to harm, He exposes it to healing. And when Allah softens your heart, He also sharpens your wisdom. You begin to choose your words more carefully. You begin to treat people more gently. You begin to walk away from harm more quickly. Soft hearts are not careless hearts. They are careful hearts. And careful hearts are powerful. You may notice that you now prefer peace over proving yourself, calm over conflict, understanding over winning. This is not defeat. This is maturity. Allah is lifting you above unnecessary battles. He is teaching you that not every fight deserves your energy. Not every opinion deserves your response. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. This is a higher level of strength. The strength to remain gentle when you could be harsh. The strength to remain calm when you could react. The strength to remain kind when the world gives you reasons not to be. So if you feel softer now, do not judge yourself. Do not call yourself weak. Do not try to harden your heart again. Allah softened it for a reason. He is preparing you to carry more wisdom, more trust, and more responsibility. My dear brother, my dear sister, as your heart becomes softer, you may start to notice something else happening quietly inside you. You begin to feel more aware of yourself. You notice your thoughts more clearly. You notice your reactions more honestly. You notice when something does not sit right within you. Before, you may have ignored these signals. Before, you may have pushed through discomfort. Before, you may have told yourself, it's nothing. Now, you cannot ignore it. And this is not because you have become fragile. It is because Allah has made your heart attentive. An attentive heart is a protected heart. Allah does not want you to live on autopilot anymore. He wants you awake. Awake to your feelings. Awake to your intentions. Awake to what nourishes you and what drains you. This softness allows you to pause before reacting. It allows you to reflect before speaking. It allows you to feel before choosing. And in that pause, Allah places wisdom. You may also notice that your compassion for others increases. You begin to understand pain you once judged. You begin to recognize struggles you once overlooked. You begin to see people not just for what they show, but for what they carry quietly. This compassion does not make you weak. It makes you human. And Allah loves hearts that understand, not hearts that harden. You may feel sadness more easily now. You may feel joy more deeply now. Your emotions may feel closer to the surface. This is not instability. This is life returning to your heart. A heart that has been softened by Allah is alive. A heart that is hard may appear strong, but it is often distant. Allah wants closeness. Closeness to Him. Closeness to truth. Closeness to sincerity. And closeness requires softness. You may notice that certain words affect you more now, not because the words are powerful, but because your heart is listening. You may notice that injustice disturbs you more deeply. You may feel heavier when you see suffering, even if it does not touch your life directly. This is not burden, this is responsibility. Allah gives sensitivity to those He trusts with care, because a person who feels deeply does not hurt carelessly. You may also notice that your patience is changing, not disappearing but transforming. You are less patient with things that damage your peace and more patient with things that build your character. You no longer tolerate disrespect quietly. You no longer accept harm just to keep peace. But you also no longer react with anger. This balance is not easy. It is learned, and Allah teaches it slowly. Softness does not mean you allow yourself to be wounded. It means you protect yourself without becoming bitter. Allah is teaching you boundaries with kindness. You may also find that your relationship with Allah feels closer now. Prayer feels different. Dua feels more honest. You speak to Allah not with rehearsed words, but with your true feelings. You may find yourself saying, Ya Allah, I am tired. Ya Allah, I am scared. Ya Allah, I don't understand, but I trust you. This honesty is beautiful. Allah does not need perfection from you. He loves sincerity. A softened heart does not hide behind strength. It comes as it is. And Allah responds to that. You may cry more easily now, and if you do not be ashamed. Tears soften what pain hardened. Tears wash what words cannot clean. Allah sees every tear, and He does not waste them. They are not signs of defeat. They are signs of release. As your heart softens, you may also notice that your desires change. You crave peace more than praise. You value calm more than control. You prefer depth over noise. This is a sign of inner maturity. Allah is moving you toward a life that feeds your soul, not just your image. You may feel misunderstood during this time. People may say you have changed, and they may be right. You have, but not in a way that is wrong. You have changed in a way that is necessary. Not everyone understands softness. Some people confuse it with weakness because they have never experienced its strength. But Allah knows. He knows that a soft heart can endure storms without becoming stone. He knows that a soft heart can carry pain without spreading it. He knows that a soft heart can love without losing itself. This is why Allah softens you before He elevates you. Because elevation without softness leads to arrogance. Power without compassion leads to harm. But when Allah combines strength with softness, He creates balance. And balanced hearts are safe hearts. You may still have moments where you wish you were less affected, where you wish things did not touch you so deeply. But remember this gently. If Allah softened your heart, it is because He trusts it. He trusts it to carry more truth. He trusts it to carry more responsibility. He trusts it to carry more light. So do not harden yourself again. Do not tell yourself to stop feeling. Do not close what Allah opened. Let your heart remain soft but guided. Let it feel but anchored in faith. Allah is not weakening you. He is preparing you. And one day, you will understand why this softness was necessary. You will see how it protected you from harm, guided you away from damage, and brought you closer